All right, so today we have an interesting pet franchise to break down. This is not a common brand or even category that someone would think about when they think about owning a franchise. But when you hear about some of the numbers that are in this business, I think you're going to be shocked. I was, and I thought this was really fascinating. So today we're going to talk about pet supplies. Plus, we will go into how much money their locations make, what are their startup costs, some other interesting numbers behind their business overall. And at the end of the day, try to answer the question, is this a good investment for you or really for anyone? So let's dive in. If you're new here, my name is Tark Johnson. I am the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, where we have helped hundreds of individuals find, vet, buy, and launch proven money-making franchises. So we're gonna dive into Pet Supplies Plus. Before we dive into the numbers, what we always do is just, how did the brand get to where they are today? What's the story behind the brand? Because oftentimes that's actually more entertaining, interesting, and revealing than the numbers themselves. So Pet Supplies Plus started in 1988, so they've been around for 37 years in Redford, Michigan. Never heard of that area of Michigan. By Jack Berry and Harry Shallop. Hopefully I'm pronouncing their names correctly. And they had a background in the grocery industry before opening the pet supply chain, and they brought this supermarket style retail concept to the pet industry. And franchising began just 1 year later, and by 1995, the chain had already grown to 100 locations. So within 7 years, they had 100 franchise locations. That's pretty crazy. And their overall model and format was just like small, friendly, accessible stores tucked into local shopping centers instead of huge warehouse spaces. And unlike their big box competitors, they marketed themselves as the neighborhood pet store. When I read this, I think about Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware is and was the helpful place. Right? That's what they call themselves, the helpful place. So they basically had a model similar to Ace Hardware in that regard. And they would do adoption events, pet washes, and be really involved in the local community. And another feature that they had was self-service dog watch stations, turning a chore into a fun community experience. And overall, that's become more common in some of these pet stores, right? Check this out. In 2018, Sentinel Capital Partners acquired Pet Supply Plus. Can you guess for how much? They don't say, but in Franchise Group Inc. then purchased them again in 2021, 3 years later, for $700 million. And Franchise Group Inc., by the way, is the parent company of Vitamin Shop, which is pretty fascinating. So, it just shows, like, if you can go out there and build a franchise brand and be a franchisor and build it into something with a lot of value where franchisees are making money, you can have gigantic exits. Gigantic. During the pandemic, there was a pet boom overall, right? People were adopting pets and buying pets at a record pace. They were home, lonely, right? Dog is man's best friend. And so sales surged during 2020. And in 2023, Pet Supplies Plus was ranked #1 in the pet franchise category by Entrepreneur magazine, even after Franchise Group Inc. filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2024, which is pretty interesting. I wonder what sort of decisions that led to. I mean, they paid $700 million for that brand. Maybe they overpaid. Crazy that smart, huge companies can still screw it up. They can still screw it up. It's crazy to think about. The company has its own in-house food line, Redford Naturals. It's pretty common to have like your own kind of white label food brand. Pet Food Supermarket does it as well. All right, so for the trivia, we're gonna make this one fun. Can you guess what kind of pet that I have? Is it a cat? Is it a dog? Is it a lizard? Is it a snake? Is it a pet monkey? Let me know in the comments below. The winner, first person to give the right answer, we will send you your choice of a Franchise Empire mug or t-shirt or hat, one of our swag that we have. Now let's dive into some of the numbers. As of this past year, 2024, they have over 700 stores open. Let's dive into some of the numbers of what are their startup costs and how much money are those locations making. The startup cost is juicy. Guys, it's juicy. $540,000 to $1.97 million. So basically $500,000 to $2 million to get up and open. The franchise fee, $49,900. So basically $50,000. It's amazing that pricing model still works, by the way. Like putting things as $1.99 instead of $2, $2.99, like $49,900. You're $100 away from being $50,000. I guess it still works. because everyone still does it. Grand opening advertising campaign, they require you to spend $30,000 in advertising prior to opening your first store. Now, some people might look at that and go, I don't want to spend $30,000. How can I avoid spending that money so I can save it? And that would be a stupid mistake, and one that I made. Ladies and gentlemen, when I opened my first franchise, our franchisor required us to spend $7,500 for grand opening advertising cost. And I figured out a way to finagle my way out of it because the shopping center was brand new and they were holding a huge grand opening event. And I piggybacked our grand opening off of that because I knew there was going to be a bunch of traffic there. So although it was still successful, it could have been more successful. I didn't spend that amount of money. Looking back, I should have, because when you think about marketing and advertising, it should be considered an investment. The whole point of marketing and advertising is that you're putting money in, then get money out. You put $1 in to get 3 out, or put $1 in to get 4 out. And so the more you try to skimp on that, typically it's going to hurt you, right? If your advertising and marketing is effective. Royalties are 2% of monthly gross sales for the first 12 months of operations, 3% of monthly gross sales after that. You may wonder, why is the royalty so low? It's because this sort of business is a business where you have a lot of inventory and the gross margins are lower. You're buying a product, let's say a dog toy. You buy the dog toy for, let's say, $4 and you sell it for $10. I mean, you have a 40% cost of goods there, right? And that's just an example. It's probably higher. The margin's probably thinner. So that's why the royalty is as low as it is. As an example, 7-Eleven, which we made a whole video breakdown on 7-Eleven talking about some of the same numbers. 7-Eleven, their royalties are based off of the actual gross profit of the store and location, which is pretty interesting. And then in terms of marketing fees, it really ranges based on the first 12 months of operation. For the first 12 months, stores will contribute $3,350 per month in local marketing spend. So that's not to be confused for what you're contributing to the marketing fund for the franchisor. That $3,350 that you're required to spend, that's to drive people into your specific store in your specific market. What does go into the national advertising fund is $1,000. It's for the benefit of the whole franchise system and is quite common. So if you're watching this and thinking, I don't want to spend close to $2 million to open up a franchise location, I'm with you. So we put together a list of 5 low-cost franchises that all have documented that they have franchisees doing $1 million in sales. You can go grab that for free. It's my gift to you. It's a PDF and video breakdown. You can go to franchiseempire.com/low cost. Grab it for free, and the link is also down in the comment and description below. Now let's talk about earnings. Let's talk about what sort of numbers their sales are producing and answering the question, hey, is this actually a good investment? So again, you guys will hear me say in all of these videos, sales to investment ratio. What is the sales to investment ratio? And for retail locations, what we're looking for is a 2-to-1 sales to investment ratio. And so when we look at this chart, and we'll put the numbers up on the screen there for you, we can see that from January to December 28th, 2024, the average of all stores, average gross sales were about $2.6 million, which is pretty interesting. And they show some other interesting numbers as well. So 2.1, and if we add up if we take the median of the startup costs between 500 to 2 million, that's 2.5, so about 1.25 million on average. Those numbers they're close to meeting the criteria. Now, when we look at these numbers, we can see that stores that have been open for 1 year, their average is about 1.69 million in sales. 2 years, 2 million in sales. 3 years, 2.3 million in sales. 4+ years, 2.9 million in sales. And so again, this goes back to the entire concept that you need time in your business. Time in order to get your business to the point where you need it to be and want it to be. I've always said it takes 3 to 5 years for a business to reach maturity and really where things start to get fun. And so, yeah, do some businesses take off in the first year or two? Yes, but oftentimes you'll see that it's really not until 3 to 5 years where businesses really hit their stride. So, people that come in expecting that I want to replace my $200,000 income and salary in year 1 of opening my franchise, well, it's probably not going to happen. And if your thinking is that short term, then you probably should not be a business owner. Now, I get it. You may say, Tark, but I have a family to support. Like I can't just not have my income for 3 years while I'm building my business up, well then maybe you shouldn't be starting a franchise, or maybe you just have to make some tougher decisions. A lot of entrepreneurs sacrifice. Most successful entrepreneurs have stories to tell you about how they've sacrificed and things were rough and lean for a few years. And so if you really want it that bad, you got to pay the price. But what's also interesting, if we look, we can see their gross margins average about 38%. We can see what the annual rent average is. So on average, these franchisees are paying about $15,000 a month in rent, which is not surprising. These are bigger locations, and they list the annual labor expense too. They provide some interesting numbers. And as we look, they provide weekly gross sales and the numbers there. So pretty interesting. I like the fact that they disclose so many numbers in their FDD. It makes it easier for us to go through and as a potential investor and franchise buyer and say, hey, is this a good financial investment for me? All right, so if you guessed that the animal that I have is a pet monkey, you guessed wrong. It is a dog. I have a dog. He is awesome. He's 13 years old. I've had him since he's 12 weeks old. Not sure how much more he's got left in the tank, but we love good old Buddy very much. He's moving a lot slower now. I remember when he would just, when he wanted to get on the couch or the bed, he would just like spring up and just jump on there. And now he's like, struggling to get up. All right, so if you enjoyed these videos around breaking down startup cost, if these franchises are a good investment, and you want to see this video, but for the largest franchise brands that you pass every single day, then you can click right here and see a playlist of all the other video breakdowns that we've done on franchises. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.